What's up, everybody? Here to talk to you today about velocity-based training. Why are we talking about this? Because, well, if you have not already seen, we at Strength Coach Network have partnered with Vitruve. Why have we partnered with Vitruve? Because we think they are the best option to help out coaches and athletes with all of their velocity-based training needs. Go ahead, click and learn more about them in the link down below. But the other reason that we're going to talk about this is still a topic that a lot of strength and conditioning coaches have, quite frankly, made mistakes about. And we've talked about this inside the network. So we have presentations from Dr. Brian Mann on the topic. We've talked about it in the forum. There's the blog post about it. And this is going to be the first of many videos, many blogs where we continue to dive into this topic because, again, the partnership with Vitruve, we're going to start to bring this more to life to help educate coaches. So I'm going to start by talking about my experience with VBT and how it's been able to help me and help the athletes that I've worked with. It all started back at Harvard. A lot of you that work in college sports, a lot of you that work in college football or even professional football, you know the name Kyle Juszczyk, all right? Juice, he plays fullback for the San Francisco 49ers. At first, he played for the Baltimore Ravens. Well, before that, he played at Harvard, and I worked at Harvard as a volunteer coach from 2011 to 2012, and I saw Juice in his senior year and then helped him get ready for his pro day with Frage. And that was the first time that I saw VBT with the football team at Harvard. They had band squats, and little did I know, it came from, Frage being at Iowa, which I then learned more about it at Iowa when I saw it in an even bigger team setting in a Power 5 football team. But, I saw it on his pro day training, hey, peak velocity at this, average velocity at that. And so I'm starting to learn about it. And then I go to Iowa and we see the older kids again. You have your band squat or your chain squat, and it's, average velocity at this or chain velocity at that. And then as I'm starting to learn more about it, I realized that it was, a lot of it was coming from West Side Barbell and stuff from Louis Simmons, where it would be, 50% of bar weight, of 1RM as bar weight, in addition to chains and bands on the rack. Then I leave Iowa and I go to Maryland, and I'm working at the University of Maryland. And we are training athletes like Stephon Diggs. When he first got at College Park was when I first got to College Park. And now Stephon, we didn't just throw chains right on him right away. He was a great athlete and he played, but we had systems and progressions of a Devo card, a team card, and an advanced card, very much like we had at Iowa. Except when he was doing dynamic effort, the way that Drew had us program it was I had that lift card and he'd be like, hey, as the guys are doing their 5 reps, you have a stopwatch. You're trying to get them to do their 5 reps as fast as possible. So this notion of no accommodating resistance with younger athletes, this is what you should be doing because if they're younger, they're novice, they need to learn good technical movement quality. So therefore, you don't need to be making the movement more difficult for them with the variable weight going down and up. Just keep it straight weight for them and allow them to develop good neuromuscular control and then good, strength, and then you can start to tweak it. We've talked about that in other videos. If you want to watch that video, go ahead and check it out on the YouTube channel. Back to what I was saying about Stephon and being at Maryland. So we did eventually get some more chains, so that way we could do chains and band squats at Maryland as well. So now we're doing the chain squats, and again, we didn't have any velocity-based, way of measuring it. This was back in 2012. We didn't have it, and things have greatly changed in the last 12 years. Then I go to Iowa, and so start to see, even more of it, the velocity-based training stuff with the chain squat and the band squat, and then I'm seeing cleans and snatches being prescribed, and this is one of the things that I think could have been improved there was instead of, it wasn't 100% arbitrary because we at least went with peak velocity for the Olympic movement and average for the the strength movements, but we didn't take into account necessarily taller athletes versus shorter athletes with the chains, with the bands, kind of with the chains. And we also didn't really take it into account with respect to like a hang snatch or a hang power snatch or a hang power clean. So the reason I'm saying that is with the bands, it used to be like, hey, if you're below a 400-pound squat, you have the black band. And then below 3. No, it's below 4. And then 4 to 5, you had the green. 5 to 6, you had a blue. And then 6 and above, you had an extra band. Well, DeMarco and I we really nerded out on this topic, and we started to figure out, like, all right, pulled out the weight, the scale, so that we would see how heavy the band was at the top, for athletes of different heights. And we would go, based off of, we went like every 6 inches, then came up with like a regression analysis. So that way we could come up with a slope, instead of being like, all right, let's measure it for a 6'7" athlete, 6'6", 6'5", right? Like, variable. And the whole point of it was, we had an athlete who had a massive squat, and when they were programmed to use the dynamic effort, man, the amount of bands they had, they were hitting zero point 0.4 meters per second. And so anybody familiar, like, that's not in the portion of the curve that you're trying to surf on your dynamic effort days, but it was the rules that we had. And that's what I'm saying, we could have improved that. And that was something that Nick and I worked on, where you can have it based on, okay, you enter the athlete's height on their lift template, and then now their height is inputted into it. You have their height, their squat 1RM. You would then be like, all right, this is the percent that I want at the top. This is the percent that I want at the bottom. And now it'll tell you the bar weight that you should use and the band weight. So that's a way that to continue to make velocity-based training better. Also, with the fact that athletes that are shorter versus taller, the shorter athletes and the shorter ranges of motion, you don't have the same amount of time to accelerate the bar as long. So the speeds are going to be inherently less than if longer athletes or longer ranges of motion. So that's why you're not going to see the same speeds in a bench press as you would in a squat, or a clean compared to, or hang clean versus a snatch. So that's how all of that could have been improved, but that was my initial exposure to it. Then go to Towson. We didn't have a lot of technology, let alone VBT technology. Eventually got VBT technology. Now at the private sector, starting to have those athletes and needing that stimulus, because we have athletes that are home from college. We have athletes that are in high school going to college that are going to get a taste of it. And you need to develop their contractile ability, their strength, and you can also monitor the load that you're giving them, because now instead of just prescribing percents and volume, you can be prescribing, hey, we're going to just hit this percentage. And instead of saying it's 80% for 8 reps, it's this percentage at this speed. Not this percentage, but this speed for 8 reps. And then if you have the velocity decrement, and again, this is staying high level. We're going to dive into the deeperness of how you can make all of this work better. But again, for me, Vitruve, the reason why Strength Coach Network has partnered with them, the ability for, again, I love the tether. And I think a lot of you working in team sports will appreciate that, because the motion capture, I mean, it's very hit or miss from everything that I've personally experienced. Other colleagues have said. So the fact that it's just tethered to it, it's on it or it's off it. The magnets, I am not a fan of those. I've experimented and used those, because then you need the camera position and athletes walk in and out of the way. It's not as reliable. So when you can actually tether something to it, the LVT, linear velocity transducer, is now on it. It's going to collect the speed. It can figure out average or peak. You can have it integrate with your TeamBuildr, so it's all right there. That's why we have partnered with Vitruve. To learn more about them, click the link down below, but you're going to continue to see more information coming out on this topic. Read our blog post on the topic as well. It's posted down below, and we are extremely happy and appreciative that you are coming to Strength Coach Network for your continuing education needs as a strength and conditioning coach. Have a great rest of your day.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.